Paul Mifsud occupied a unique role in aviation history at center stage for deregulation, liberal bilaterals, GDS and open skies, antitrust immunity, global branded alliances, the Air France-KLM merger, and the 2007 EU-US Open Skies Agreement. Paul Vladimir Mifsud is a global American with first-generation Maltese, Russian, German, and hillbilly grandparents. He grew up with a single mother in an apartment over the shops in Mount Vernon, New York. Initially an indifferent student, Paul squeaked through Bronx Community College, graduated from CCNY, and met Sergeant Shriver, who inspired him to join the Peace Corps. He served 2 years in Ethiopia, first in remote mountains and then teaching English at Haile Selassie University in Addis Ababa, where he met Emperor Haile Selassie, Queen Elizabeth, Robert Kennedy, and Louis Leakey. Ethiopia was a life-changing experience. Paul returned with a global vision and a taste for travel on someone else's dime. At Rutgers School of Law, Paul found his calling. He made law review, joined legal aid, and studied with Professor Ruth Bader Ginsburg. After graduation, Paul became an enforcement trial attorney, SEC, where his legal skills were polished by senior government attorneys who remain best friends today. Next, as Assistant Counsel USA for BOAC, Paul worked on the merger with BEA, resulting in British Airways, the first of many airline mergers where Paul's advice was sought. He helped gain approval of supersonic Concorde flights into the U.S., a success that came with benefits. Paul was General Counsel USA, KLM Royal Dutch Airlines for 18 years and Vice President Government and Legal Affairs USA for another 15. KLM's U.S. office was above the ticket sales on Fifth Avenue. The CAB heavily regulated U.S. aviation, and the U.S. was in the process of ordering KLM to stop flying U.S. traffic beyond Amsterdam. Paul's timing couldn't have been better. Deregulation was on the horizon, and fresh eyes were an asset. The old guard took him under their wings to teach him the commercial and operational sides of aviation. Paul met Dr. Orr Wassenberg, who in 1995 would become the second recipient of the L. Welch Pogue Award. Orr counseled Paul to adopt a style of advocacy called Under vier Augen, literally under four eyes, which Paul interpreted as up close and personal, a style that he took to heart. Applying Under vier Augen, Paul spoke at aviation conferences worldwide, avoiding legalese, aiming to be provocative, persuasive, and original. Practicing law in Dodge City is a typical title. One of his best memories is being on the same ABA program as his son. Along the way, fabulous whining and dining led Paul to blossom noticeably at his own equator. At KLM, Paul's first order of business was to take advantage of the British decision to renounce the Bermuda Agreement. The resulting 1978 U.S.-Netherlands liberal bilateral introduced competitive pricing and capacity into global aviation. In the liberal environment, KLM doubled its U.S. destinations overnight. An early adopter of all things computerized, Paul assisted KLM's entry into automated distribution. He convinced IATA to form the Neutral Industry Booking System Group, NIBS, which Paul eventually moved to Europe, where it became Amadeus and Covia Galileo. His interest in computers married well with his up-close and personal style. He began sending emails to aviation colleagues with news, information, ideas, especially ideas. The circle expanded to become the Daily International Aviation Discussion Group, MIFNet. With the help of KLM's former DC Director of Government Affairs, Monique Sears, MIFNet continues today. With liberal bilaterals, airline mergers, and global distribution, international aviation became a roller coaster ride. Legendary carriers like Pan Am and TWA died. American, United, Delta, and new entrants filled the vacuum. KLM needed a partner. In the spring of 1989, with no rights to Minneapolis or Detroit, KLM joined the leveraged buyout of Northwest. Paul's mission was to secure regulatory rights to cooperate with Northwest. In 1992, Paul led KLM and the Dutch government to the first open skies agreement with the United States. In 1993, Paul was knighted. The Order Orange-Nassau officer was bestowed upon Paul on behalf of the Queen of the Netherlands for his efforts leading to the first Open Skies Agreement and the KLM Northwest Anti-Immune Aviation Alliance. With antitrust immunity, KLM Northwest formed the first metal-neutral joint venture. The massive competitive response that followed led KLM Northwest to new mergers and partnerships with Air France and Delta. But first, the DOT required a US-EU Open Skies Agreement. Following the US-EU Open Skies Agreement, DOT approved the Delta, Northwest, and KLM Air France Metal Neutral Joint Venture for Antitrust Immunity. In 2008, the Federal Bar Association named Paul Transportation Lawyer of the Year for MIFNet and developments such as the EU-US Open Skies Agreement. Paul lectures at numerous university law schools, including an annual lecture at Leiden University, and also writes for Air and Space Law and Air Law, among others. On his KLM retirement, the Dutch ambassador gave Paul a grand send-off at the Netherlands Embassy, as you can see. Alfred Kahn said it best, "Paul, we collaborated in making history." Today, at MIFNet World, Paul provides communication strategies and confidential counsel on international aviation issues.